want to talk about one more thing. You guys stay with me here. So there's a new part of the big, beautiful bill that places a cap on certain kinds of student loans, and nursing students may feel the brunt of it. So the Department of Ed is proposing a new rule which would redefine professional degrees. That includes pharmacy, dentistry, veterinary medicine, but not nursing. And that means that could cut down their student loan access. The American Nurses Association released a statement urging the department to reverse course, adding, quote, at a time when healthcare in our country faces a historic nurse shortage and rising demands, limiting nurses' access to funding for graduate education threatens the very foundation of patient care.
Can you imagine going to school for years and then your degree is suddenly just wiped out of the list of professional options?
How about they go to school for 6 years and get a master's and see how professional that is?
As someone who has been studying my ass off for 2.5 years in a doctorate of nursing practice program, to now be told that my profession is not professional is beyond disrespectful.
Joining me now, Anya Kamenetz, journalist and author of Generation Debt. Anya, thanks so much for talking with me, because this is not just about the classification, right? This is about money. This is about whether or not you can get help with those degrees. Talk about the proposal.
That's exactly right. So as part of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, the access to PLUS loans has been severely reduced or eliminated. And PLUS loans were for graduate school, and they had no cap. Now, that can be a problem because it means mounting debt. But there's an exception to the PLUS loan rule, and that was for professional students. Professional students were able to borrow up to a $200,000 aggregate limit. And now the problem comes where they're saying, well, nurses are actually not part of that list of professions. And just to note, they did include chiropractors, they did include professors of theology, but they've excluded, the backbone really of the healthcare profession in the United States, almost 5 million people.
Can you talk about the implications for this in education, but also in the nursing profession? People who do this work, they're very committed to it. I don't see them just suddenly saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. But are there impacts that maybe some of us aren't understanding?
So we should clarify, there are levels of nursing that you can practice with an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. And so this change really impacts those who choose to go on in their profession to earn graduate degrees, which enable them to do things like diagnose and prescribe medication, lead research, and perhaps teach other nurses. And so what happens beyond that, if they lose access to these loans, which is, overwhelmingly what it takes to complete that professional certification, that might impact space at nursing schools, because these graduate students might be funding slots that other students are taking in the bachelor's degree program. So it impacts the pipeline of the profession. It impacts the professional expansion for nurses as they go through their careers, and it might impact the space for other folks. As we heard, there is obviously a huge healthcare shortage in this country.
Yeah, even general practitioners, especially in rural areas. We don't have a lot of time left, but I did want to get your point of view on this idea that some of these jobs that are no longer on the list are jobs that are disproportionately done by women.
Oh my gosh. I mean, almost 9 out of 10 nurses are women in the United States. And I think you heard from the folks on TikTok, right? There's a feeling of respect. What are we able to call a profession? What are we not calling a profession, even though they may be performing very much the same work to keep people healthy?
That's Anya Kamenetz. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Just when you think it couldn't get any worse, American nurses, you in danger, girl. The Department of Education just made a massive change that is going to cost you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. Under President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, this act, the definition of professional degree has been revamped. And we just got left off the list. This isn't about titles. This is about excluding nursing graduate students who could lose access to specific federal loans and loan forgiveness programs that were previously available to professional degrees. I'm sure this reinforces the stereotype that nursing isn't a real profession, and this couldn't come at a worse time. This is going to make the nursing shortage more catastrophic if people can't afford the schooling. So I don't understand what is happening out there, because again, we talk about the nursing shortage and we say, you know what, there's not a shortage of bodies, but a shortage of respect. And if this isn't a slap in the face, then I don't know what is. So nurses in America, what are you going to do about this? And nurses in Canada, don't be fooled that this can't happen here too.
The exhaustion that I currently feel from this administration is unreal. It behooves me to go and dive deeper into the things and the problems of America that we're dealing with currently. I have 3 degrees, 2 master's degrees, 1 undergraduate. Undergraduate is in education, master's in educational administration, other master's in school counseling. Only to find out that undergraduate and master's degrees in education will no longer be counted as professional degrees. We have to pay for our certificates. We have to pay to keep licensing, educational licensing. That's not professional. I'm really upset about that because this is my career and this is what I wanted to do with my life. And I'm a little bit afraid of what that means for me and my kids, because I have a son going to college next year. And the major that he wants to major in is engineering, and that was on the list as well. I'm also concerned for all of the things that's on that list. It was nurse practitioner, a lot of things in the medical field, but most importantly, a lot of female-dominated careers. So not only are we attacking females, but a lot of those careers are also mandated reporters, like a diagnostician, occupational therapist. These are things in the school. Mandated reporters, okay? So kids won't be protected. Women aren't being protected. We've worked hard to get to where we're at, only to be knocked down. Another thing I've noticed, a lot of these careers are people of color dominated. So because they haven't been able to rage bait us any other way, we have literally been staying down and staying quiet. They're trying everything they can to get us to react. At this point, we just need to find and start our own businesses so that nobody can knock us down from a tier, a pedestal, or anything. It's time for us to suit up and boot up.
Some of you all were confused, so I got out of bed so that I can explain to you all why a certain level of degrees were downgraded by the Department of Education. You're not going to like it. Let me put on my lip gloss first. So you need to understand the levels and the depths of why they're doing this and what and who is designed to affect. Now I'm gonna keep it real cute and I'm gonna keep it really short and simple. And the short and simple explanation of all of this is that when Kevin Roberts, remember when I talked about him? But when Kevin Roberts wrote that nasty piece of Project 2025 legislation, he had a certain group and demographic and gender of people in mind that he wanted to make subject to white men. Now, the degrees that they declassified make up an overwhelming majority of women. Women work these fields. And when they go into higher levels of education, they become directors of institutions, mental health facilities, things like that, which allows them to make a livable wage. If you look at the infrastructure of Project 2025 and making women incubators and dependent on men, you have to take their ability, their earning ability away from them. Now, in terms of the declassification, there's one other thing to note. And that other thing to note is by declassifying these particular degrees, you also declassify the amount of funding that one can take out for said degrees. Now, if you didn't already know, Black women make up the largest majority of people who actually take out student loans. And so because of this declassification, it bars out those women who actually want to pursue their education, but don't have the money to pursue it right away, because these jobs don't particularly pay at the bachelor's level. So in order for them to get those advanced level degrees, they would have to take out student loans in order to get them. But it would also give them access to some of those director level positions. So there's two demographics that they're going after. They're going after women as a whole so that women can be dependent on their men. And then the subset, Black women particularly, because in order for us to access a lot of these advanced level degrees, we would need to take out student loans. By declassifying them, we would not be able to have access to student loans, thus not furthering our education, thus keeping us out of positions that require that further level of education. Clap that tea.
The Department of Education has now come out with a list of degrees that they are saying will no longer be considered professional. And this list will take effect July of 2026. Some of the degrees that they said are no longer professional include a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, advanced nurse practitioner, nurse practitioners, a physician assistant, teachers, a speech language pathologist, and there's more. But when I saw this again, I couldn't believe it. Because what does that mean on the back end? On the back end, that means that they are attacking female-dominant fields. That's a major blow right there. That's a major blow right there. That's a major blow right there. And secondly, people that are interested in those specific degrees will have a lesser chance in getting the federal funding that they need to get in those programs. And people voted for this. It's becoming to the point where y'all did not take Project 2025 serious. And it's sad. Because these people are stripping everything that they can away from the Department of Education. And it's sad. It's really getting on my nerves, and I'm just really getting sick of it.